Yo, what is going on, guys? It's Juan Solo here with ASQD Gaming, and welcome back to the channel. Thank you all so much for tuning in today for some more State of Decay 2. So actually in today's video, guys, this is going to be a rework of yesterday's video because I got a little bit of my information wrong. Nothing in too much of detail with like the actual systems of the loot, but that's what we're going to be talking about today, and I'm going to correct what I mistakenly said yesterday, and I think you guys will really enjoy this video if you didn't see it yet. So we're going to be going through talking about the loot spawns and some of the enemy spawns, as well as, you know, some of the points of interest and stuff around the map. So first thing we're going to be talking about is loot. So the loot system in State of Decay 2 is distributed through a few different like procedural systems, and each of those serves its own purpose. So for instance, containers where loot can be found, it's kind of procedurally populated, you know, are placed by hand, you know, so containers, shelves, you know, different coolers and stuff, like basically anywhere that you can open up something and find an item, you know, vehicles and that kind of thing where you're going to find items, all of those things are placed by hand, but the loot that's inside of those is not placed by hand. And every time that a map is generated, a variety of items and resources and loot vehicles are distributed according to this process. So the actual individual containers are going to be placed by hand by the devs. All of the loot and stuff that is going to be spawning in those containers is kind of generated through a back-end system in the looting process. So some elements with the looting will be the same across multiple instances of the same map. So for instance, there's, you know, a guarantee that there's going to be at least one gas can at every single gas station, and then some elements will be different. Say for example that across the whole map they want to drop 25 normal melee weapons. These aren't guaranteed to show up in certain sites, but instead distributed, you know, procedurally all the way across all of the map into containers that are whitelisted to make sense, dropping items of certain physical sizes which makes sense for them. So for instance, you're not going to find a melee weapon, you know, in a fridge, for instance. You're not going to find, you know, other stuff in certain areas. It's going to be, you know, more common to that item of where you're going to find it. So, you know, for instance, you might find, you know, melee weapons in the back of vehicles, you know, that kind of thing, but you're not going to be finding those in, you know, little tiny boxes and stuff. You're not going to find a giant sword in a really tiny box or something like that. So that's going to make it so that like when you're looting, it's not just completely random, it's more along the lines of what it should be. So between the quotas, so the quotas is kind of like how many items are going to pop up in certain loot areas and stuff. You know, the devs fill data on the map the player sees for any individual area that they've scouted. So it'll tell the player, you know, if there exists any potential to find certain resources there. So this lets players kind of self-select what resources to pursue with a reasonable amount of confidence that they're actually going to find what they're looking for. So for instance, obviously, like if you go to a grocery store, you're going to probably find some food supplies and stuff like that, and they're making it so that when you scout out an area using like the scout feature, which I showed in a previous video, it makes it so that you kind of know what loot is going to be there. Not 100%, it's not 100% chance, but it's a high enough, you know, chance that, you know, the cost of time, health, items, and danger should, you know, it's worthwhile to go and pursue those items. And then also in multiplayer, additional loot is distributed in containers that aren't openable but in single player. So I actually talked about this in a previous video as well, and talking about, you know, when you have more people in your game, there's actually going to be more loot that's going to spawn in buildings and stuff, and each loot, there's certain loot that's specific to certain players, and that kind of encourages cooperation over competition, and the game only allows the player a lootable object that belongs to them after they open it, which they can share its contents with the other players. If, like for instance, you guys, there's a container that only you can open. You open it up, it's a melee weapon that you already have. You can drop that for your teammates and stuff. You know, anything that you pick up in the open world, you can drop for your teammates. You're not like tied to it or anything like that, which is really, really cool. And then, like I said, the team also focused on trying to equally distribute containers throughout large structures. So how they put this is they tried to massage the loot distribution into multi-room structures. So for instance, if you're in a house, it's not going to have like 10 containers in one tiny little room and then nothing throughout the rest of the house. And this kind of ensures that the containers are more spread out throughout the house. So then, you know, for instance, there should be, you know, at least one loot container in each room of the house. Depending on how big the house is, you're going to have more loot containers, you know, that sort of thing. So they have several systems that actually contribute to the ambient zombie population. And one of the big things is with working with Unreal Engine 4, it kind of evolved continuously over the entire development of the game. And it made it so that, you know, they could spawn a lot of zombies in certain areas, for instance, and then obviously when you're shooting your guns and stuff, you're going to have obviously larger pools of zombies and stuff because they're attracted to sound, especially around your base. And then also when you use the scout feature, when you climb up the towers and you kind of scout the areas, you are going to be revealing areas where there are zombie hordes. So, you know, that's going to be pretty cool to, you know, see zombie hordes and stuff like that. So they also made it like, for instance, when multiplayer, when players spawn into the game and stuff like that, that they're going to have an equivalent, you know, number of zombies placed near them. And then one nice side effect of that is kind of calculating spawn locations on the fly, is that they don't have to hand place spawn locations for the zombies. So for instance, they can, once you spawn in, there's going to be a certain number of zombies that's going to spawn near you, and then obviously that's going to change based off of your gameplay. You know, are you being loud? Are you shooting a lot of guns? You know, are you, you know, destroying plague hearts? That sort of thing is going to determine how many more zombies and stuff show up around you, and that's definitely going to determine, you know, the size of the hordes and that kind of thing, you know, moving forward in your game. So, and then one of the easiest to understand tools that State of Decay has, you know, in there is marking off areas of the map as safe. It's like a safe zone in the world. And then of course designers, you know, hand place the safe zones in their maps, which, you know, around bases, around outposts, that sort of thing is where your safe areas are going to be. However, most of the time they ask the system to declare a room, a building, a base, or even a neighborhood safe or cleared at runtime. You know, safe zones remain safe for an unlimited amount of time. While you clear out areas and stuff, it makes it safe for a short duration. So for instance, if you clear out an area with zombies and stuff, it's going to make it safe for a short period of time. But if it's an actual safe zone, it's going to make it it's unlimited, so it's never going to be not a safe zone anymore. So mission spawning, this is an exception to this because they allow it to ignore safe zones. If the designer wants to create a tense moment in the story by springing something, you know, nasty on you in a place where you led to believe was safe, that's gonna make it super crazy. Because, you know, for instance, if you're doing a mission and you go into a place where it's a safe area, so you're thinking, you know, oh, I've been here, I've made this a safe area, you know, you're not really expecting anything, and then you get, you know, attacked by a horde of zombies. So that's going to be some unique experiences in State of Decay 2. And then also the types and volume of zombies that spawn are also regulated by the population manager. This is kind of like a back-end system, you know, that is running in State of Decay 2. And according to like the recipe, I guess you could say, of the game, it indicates what percentage chance of a zombie spawning is, an optimal cap number for the zombie type, and then a cooldown that forces the spawner to wait until producing more of those types of zombies. You know, these things can be altered from mission outcomes. Obviously, if you fail a mission or something like that, it's going to change this thing. You know, time of day, incidents like a player breaking down a door, those types of things all have effects on how many zombies and stuff spawn. So you're sort of changing the algorithm that's kind of running in the background by putting in variables. For instance, you know, you break down a door, you know, that's going to change the algorithm a little bit because you made noise that might have more zombies, you know, come your way. Or you shoot off some guns, you take out a plague heart. Those kind of things that are, you know, focused on gameplay do affect how, you know, the zombies spawn, and different zombies, different, you know, strength of zombies spawn, and that sort of thing. So we're also real quick going to be talking about rare and unique items. So most of the time in State of Decay 2, the rare and unique items are going to kind of be tucked away in far corners of the map, but the monsters guarding them are going to be determined mostly by the ambient population of the zombies and stuff. So there are going to be times where they use like a special override to juice up the ambient zombie spawns near unique and rare items. So obviously, you know, if there's a really rare or really unique item, you're not just going to be able to just stroll in there and have a couple like normal zombies. There might be a couple juggernauts, you know, there might be a few other types of zombies and stuff that's going to make that loot harder to get, because obviously it's a unique and rare item. So, you know, for instance, if you decide to go for a hike just for fun of it, you may find yourself stumbling upon some goodies and then occasionally some rare goodies. And we're inspired by other open world games like The Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild, where you could explore for even a short distance and find something worth your while. It might just be a nice view or a little environmental story, or it could be something super useful. What we hope to do is that let players feel like you didn't waste your time by doing that exploration. That's what one of the devs said. And that's huge, because, you know, that's probably the biggest part for me playing a game like this, is kind of going out, exploring, you know, exploring the wide open world and stuff like that. And I don't want to feel as if I'm wasting my time. I don't want to feel as if, you know, there's nothing there to loot, there's nothing there to explore. You know, I'm basically wasting my time going out and just, you know, free roaming around. So, but that is pretty much all for the video, guys. I know it's just a little, there's a few random topics thrown in there, but I kind of wanted to discuss how loot and, you know, the zombie spawns and maybe some of the rare items and stuff, how those things are going to work. Like I said, this is very similar to yesterday's video that I took down because there was a little bit of information in that video that was incorrect, and I didn't want to have that video up just because, you know, I want all the information that I'm putting out there to be, you know, correct to, you know, what Undead Labs has confirmed or other websites and stuff have confirmed through Undead Labs. You know, I want to have all the correct information out there, so that's why this video is up today from what I took down yesterday. But like I said, that's all for the video, guys. If you guys enjoyed it, you guys found it helpful, you guys are excited about all of the looting and stuff that's going to go down when State of Decay 2 launches on May 22nd, make sure to slap that like button. Also, if you guys are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe to stay up to date on all things State of Decay 2. I'm going to be covering this game very in-depth leading up to and after the launch on May 22nd. But that is all for now, guys. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will catch you guys later. Peace out.